So Joy, you start, correct?
Yes. Warm greetings to all our JCI senators, friends in the various positions you hold in our beloved organization. And depending on where you are geographically located, I say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. A warm welcome to our conversation on leadership. More specifically, our JCI theme, Developing Leaders for a Changing World. Today, 14 September 2022, we commemorate 70 years since the recognition of our first JCI Senator, Joaquin Gonzalez, in 1952. Therefore, today, together with our Senate colleagues in all JCI regions, Europe, Africa and the Middle East, Asia and the Pacific, Southeast Asian nations, our Association of JCI Senators of the Americas and the Caribbean, ASAC, proudly recognizes the over 80,000 JCI senators for their contributions to JCI and to their various communities throughout the world. Our world has changed significantly since 1952, and even more since the global pandemic of 2020. Let us as JCI senators seek opportunities to be proactive and relevant in the face of the changes happening around us. Many of us are indeed champions in governance, in business, in nonprofit organizations, and in several other areas. An early mantra of JCI was men of vision, and we were and are expected to be influencers of global change. Examples include John F. Kennedy of the United States of America, Jacques Chirac of France, Rihiro Hattori of Japan, Kofi Annan of the United Nations, to name a few world leaders. Can we, senators of today, representing all our JCI regions, re-energize and even recreate a vision for JCI and the world that we can position JCI as the leadership organization where everyone would want to belong? I hope that all our listeners are as eager and excited as I am to listen as our eloquent speakers discuss the JCI theme, Developing Leaders for a Changing World. And now I present our moderator, Filipe Carrera, President of the Association of JCI Senators of Europe, to guide our conversation on the topic. Thank you and enjoy your time with us. Thank you, Filipe. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Joy, for your presentation and giving meaning to this day. So today we have three speakers from different places in the world, three senators. We have from Colombia, Carlos Barrera, and from South Africa, we have our Senator Tshepo, and Friedhelm from Germany, from Europe. So we are here to discuss how to develop leaders in changing times. This is a discussion that will be a key topic in the World Congress of JCI in Hong Kong. This time it will be an online conference because of all the situation that we have been living of COVID-19. So we decided to make this discussion, to start this discussion in one very special day, Senators' Day, 14th of September. And we decided to connect the senators across the world. And also, if you want to make some questions through the YouTube channel, I'm checking the chat at all times. So if there is some question that you want to put to the speakers, please feel free to do so. We will have a conversation for between 30 and 45 minutes at the most. So don't leave it to the end to make those questions. So I would say that by alphabetic order of continent, I will start with Africa. And I have a question for Tshepo to answer us. Are young people prepared to live good and bad experiences in organizations like JCI? And I want also to answer another thing and more. What is for you the role of mentoring in provoking a useful self-reflection when people live these good and bad moments in an organization like JCI? Because normally people have this idea that this kind of organizations, because they pursue a common good, everything that happens is always good, but sometimes bad things happen. In terms, when you have people, you have relationship problems. So Tshepo, what do you think? Are young people prepared to live that? Are they in a bubble thinking that never happens? And what mentoring can do to help them?
Thank you very much, Filipe, and greetings to all the panelists. Well, to speak to the question, I think by default, as human beings, we want to always be in good environments. Many of us, when we pursue positions of leadership, we always think of the good that we will find in the environment and the good that we'll be able to deliver. But the reality of the matter is that when you are in leadership, there are challenging times, there are good things that happen, there are also bad things that happen. And I find that in my own personal view, not only young people, but in general, people would like to have a very good environment. But with the challenges that come through, we have to be prepared to learn from them and become solution providers. My advice in most cases to young people is that the fact of the matter is when you join any organization, JCI, sector-based organization, business-based organization, you must know that there will be great things that happen, there will be challenging things that happen, such as conflict, such as politics, and many other things. You must see yourself as a solution provider to address those challenges that are happening. Then, to an extent, it gives you motivation to be able to handle the bad things that always occur in leadership. When it comes to self-reflection, mentoring young people, we have to prepare them for leadership. And platforms like JCI and many other civil society organizations provide that opportunity for young people to say, when you get in this, there are good things that will happen, there are bad things that will happen. Become a solution provider, have resilience, see this as a development path for you. See this as preparation even for bigger things. Because if you are able to handle whatever situation, you will become a greater leader. So as mentors, we always have to be honest. Don't only talk about the rosy situations of being a leader, but the reality that from day one, there will be those who are with you and there will be others who are against you. Just be focused on the mission of that particular organization. Deliver on it, care about people, and also take care of yourself, your emotions, because you don't want to always put your heart in tough situations. Understand there's a difference between me as Peter, the young leader, and JCI, the organization. Don't always put your heart in because it might be destroyed too quick. Just be prepared for the environment and do your best. Still take care of your heart and your family and other people who care about you. Thank you.
Thank you, Tshepo. I have a question now for Carlos from Colombia. And for that, in his answer, he will be supported by our magnificent translator, Ana Paula Yanez, that will translate from Spanish. So my question for Carlos is, in the 90s, JCI leadership program for young leaders was created. My question is Is this still a valid program, or it is complete garbage in these times that we are living?
Good day. Cordial greetings to everyone. I express my gratitude and appreciation for this initiative, which hereby confirm the validity of the role of the JCI Senate and this time, and confirm that there is potential in those who have already had a junior career. You can continue helping to grow the organization. To join a committee, me special feeling to believe in for this occasion. You the contribute to this objective. I apologize for participating in my native language, which is Spanish, and job the simultaneous translation make our point of view. From Colombia, long life to the Senate. Paso al español, Ana Paula, para decir que es vigente aún lo que en los 90 nuestra organización nos hablaba, que en Colombia lo conocimos con el nombre de líderes a la vanguardia o líderes situacionales.
I consider that it is still valid what was taken in consideration when I started, when we started this program on the 90s, because the focus was to have leaders in vanguard.
Este programa nos enseñaba que, o nos sugería que podíamos en situaciones, según las circunstancias, asumir 3 tipos de liderazgo y combinarlos de manera adecuada.
This program suggested that us, in different situations, we could practice 3 different types of leadership according to the situation that we had in front.
El primero, el autocrático.
The first was the autocratic.
El segundo, el laissez-fairista, o dejar hacer, dejar pasar.
The second was to just let things happen.
Y el tercero, el democrático.
And the third was the democratic.
Y que el rol del líder JCI era combinar esos 3 estilos de liderazgo de manera adecuada y según las circunstancias y las personas a quienes estábamos dirigiendo.
And the idea of JCI was to combine those 3 different roles into the perfect situation and try to find what was best for the situation.
La organización nos permitía generar unas competencias o skill.
The organization also allowed us to develop different skills.
Con conocimientos, habilidades y actitudes.
With knowledge, with abilities, and with different attitudes.
Para usarlas según usáramos cada estilo de liderazgo.
To use them depending on the leadership that we decided for that situation.
Estas siguen siendo vigentes aún en las actuales circunstancias con algunos cambios o algunas actualizaciones.
I consider these are still very valid with some updates according to the world that we're living in the context.
Principalmente por los cambios de la era digital en la que hoy estamos y que en aquella época apenas estábamos iniciando.
Mainly because of the changes on the digital area that we're living now that we didn't have back then. It was just starting.
Considero que algunos aspectos que la organización nos enseñó en aquel entonces hoy nos permiten en las organizaciones que estamos.
I consider that some of the aspects that the organization taught us,
aspectos como la administración del tiempo,
such as how to administrate time,
los procedimientos parlamentarios,
parliament procedures,
la planeación,
planning, strategies,
la oratoria,
public speaking,
entre otros aspectos que la organización nos enseñó para usarlos adecuadamente y ser líderes a la vanguardia o líderes situacionales.
among other skills that we learned from this organization that taught us to be leaders and be at the vanguard.
Luego, lo que concluyo para esta primera ronda
And to conclude this first round,
es que el líder situacional que nos enseñó la JCI en los años 90 sigue siendo vigente con los cambios y con los ajustes necesarios de la época.
I would like to say that I consider that it's still valid, the approach of the situational leader that we learned in the 90s with the updates that we have to the current situation.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carlos. So basically, we still have a model in JCI that is still being used and can be used. And I want to give you also a little bit of perspective where we have been impacting at this point, because I asked people to say in the chat, where are they from, where they are seeing us. And we have senators a bit around the world. So only to give some countries, so Germany, Colombia, several senators from Colombia, by the way, Quito, Ecuador, Peru, Aruba, Bolivia, and Germany, United States. I'm from Portugal, but at this precise point, I'm in Amsterdam. So my next question is for, in this round, it's the last question of this round is for Friedhelm. That is, I hope, I suppose that you are in Germany. What is the advice that you would give to a young leader while developing a career? What is your best advice, Friedhelm?
Well, I think Tshepo, as well as Carlos, had said a lot to that. However, I would like to add creating the right network and care about that network is probably one of the most important aspects. You always have peers. You have an up-level leading, you have a down-level leading, but creating the network allows you really to be a good leader, whether it is like Tshepo said, you have to deal with bad issues. You can ask your peers, you can speak about that, and you can work together on the issue. And I think with that comes, of course, developing the right network, comes that you have to develop your decision-making gene, because no decision is accepted by the whole group. There's always somebody who doesn't like the decision. So it is very wise to have a development of that gene to create decisions, how you come to a decision. That is a cultural issue. And if you develop that, if you develop a leadership gene in creating good decisions, then you have really done a lot for you, including your networks and what Tshepo and Carlos said.
So thank you very much, Friedhelm. You see over here that we have three different perspectives in terms of where they are coming from. But also think about, there is a lot of experience accumulated by these three amazing speakers. One thing that I would like to point on what Friedhelm just said, that is basically, and we are talking about young leaders, and it's a frustration that many young leaders have, is that we cannot be liked by everybody. If you make a decision, whatever it is, it will have somebody that will not like it. But making decisions, assuming risks, is being a leader. So be prepared not to be liked by everybody. The only people that are liked by everybody are the ones that do absolutely nothing in the world. So let me make a second question to Tshepo. From your experience, how you can motivate experienced leaders to create new leaders? Because we in JCI, we are very much programmed to prepare new leaderships. Even when we see about the structure of JCI, that you have the deputy president and the president, and the president has, like, his main mission is to find his replacement, what is something that is interesting. So what is, from your experience, how can you motivate experienced leaders to create new leaders?
You know, Filipe, before answering that question, let me indicate that, as you were saying, people who are liked by everyone, usually they have two cards in their pockets. On the left, they promise somebody. On the right, they promise an opposite person, and always spend time in trying to appease everyone. And you are right, they often don't do anything because they're trying to be create an impression on everyone. But as experienced leaders, we have a duty, in my personal view, to contribute towards sustainability. And the best way to do that is to become a conduit that enables young people to lead bigger organizations than we have, stronger organizations that we have, better communities than we have. So as experienced leaders, we need to see ourselves in that way, that we are enablers. If we want to sort of like, retain leadership only to ourselves, unfortunately, we are killing a young generation, because young people are often blamed for so many things. You know, when you get older, you start saying, oh, our times were better. Oh, we had more stronger and resilient young people. We were better in this and this. Maybe JCI or this organization was better. ISAC or many other organizations were better because we were leaders. Forgetting that somebody provided us an opportunity. Somebody was our sponsor. Somebody took their time to contribute to us. So we need to always see ourselves as a conduit to create bigger things, to create better leaders for a better society. So I urge everyone that you should always mentor people. And when you mentor them for the purpose of becoming better than you are. In that way, we'll create a more progressive society. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Tshepo. In reality, mentoring new leaders is a very noble role for every experienced leader. And I want to also add that at this point, we have more countries also with us. We have Mexico, Brazil, also from Curaçao and Catalonia. We have people watching us. And to everybody that is watching us, if you want to make any questions, please put it on the chat. I will do my best to give it to all the speakers. And also continue to write, where are you from? Because we want to have this sense of how we are spread across the world. And now my second question for Carlos is, JCI promotes Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. Why should these goals matter for young leaders? Or is something that it's not so important? Why they should matter for these young leaders?
Filipe, es importante que todos en el mundo entero unifiquemos nuestras agendas.
I think it's important that all of us around the world can unify our agendas.
Desde los gobiernos más grandes de los países más importantes, pasando por los empresarios, pasando por los líderes sociales del mundo.
Beginning from the biggest governments to all the different countries, to the entrepreneurs, to businesses, everybody should be involved.
Y por supuesto que esto aplica a los jóvenes para que desde sus energías y desde sus proyectos de vida y desde sus posiciones que van asumiendo en el mundo, asuman como propios esas agendas.
And this, of course, applies to the young people so that they can take this in consideration in the work they're doing in their projects, and so that they can take it in consideration also as part of their agenda.
Y justamente las Naciones Unidas nos han convocado a que nos sumemos a esta agenda de los Objetivos de Desarrollo Sostenible ODS.
Which is why the United Nations has asked us to join the initiative of the SDGs and work with the same agenda.
Que nos invitan a impactar en 3 aspectos fundamentales. El primero de ellos.
That invite us to impact on 3 fundamental aspects. The first of it is.
El primero de ellos, la disminución de la pobreza.
To reduce poverty.
Nosotros en Latinoamérica tenemos inmensas desigualdades.
Here in Latin America, we can witness a big amount of inequality.
Esto nos ha llevado a que tengamos muchas tensiones sociales.
This leads to a lot of conflict.
Y creo que es el primero de ellos que debemos asumirlo en cada una de nuestras acciones que hacemos y en las posiciones que nos encontremos.
And I think it's one of the first that we need to assume and look for solutions in any position that we find ourselves in.
¿Cómo hacemos para que estas personas que por sus circunstancias sociales no tienen acceso a los medios de subsistencia?
How can we do to help the people that don't have the same social opportunities?
Debemos acompañar a los gobiernos y a los poderes legislativos para que cada vez pongan normas que contribuyan a disminuir los niveles de pobreza.
We need to work with our governments to make sure that we can provide different policies to work with reducing poverty.
Y en nuestras acciones del día a día poder también nosotros con sumatorias de nuestras organizaciones y de nuestros roles contribuir también a que esto sea posible.
And with the help of our organizations to make sure that this also happens and to make this possible.
El segundo aspecto de esta agenda que debemos tener en cuenta es el cuidado al planeta.
The second aspect that we need to take in consideration from this agenda is to take care of the environment.
Estamos enfrentando hoy una situación muy compleja para la humanidad, cuál es el calentamiento de la Tierra.
We are facing a terrible situation as humanity, which is global warming.
Y ahí sí que día a día podemos con nuestros hábitos de consumo poder ayudar a que cada vez se disminuyan esas situaciones que amenazan la Tierra, el planeta.
And it is with our daily consumption habits that we can help with the problem of the global warming through our actions.
También desde nuestras organizaciones podemos promover distintas iniciativas en favor de este gran macroobjetivo.
Also, with our organizations, we can provide and propose some initiatives that we can help to the environment.
Y quiero destacar en esta reunión el programa que tiene ASAC, cuál es el planeta verde, el Senado verde, el cual lo podemos fortalecer cada vez más y cada uno de los senados nacionales de nuestros países en todo el mundo podamos contribuir a que este gran objetivo se cumpla.
And I would like to mention a program that ASAC has, which is called Green Senate, where we present different initiatives to help the environment, and it's something that can be replicated in other areas as well.
Y el tercer gran aspecto que nos llama la atención las Naciones Unidas
And the third aspect that is mentioned by the United Nations is
asegurar la prosperidad, y así nosotros tenemos en nuestra filosofía de la JCI,
which is to ensure prosperity, and it's something that we make part of JCI and Senates as well.
a defender la libertad económica, la libertad de empresa,
When we defend the economy and the entrepreneurship.
y de esta manera podemos promover en los jóvenes el emprendimiento, el empresarismo, el que tomen iniciativas en procura de mejorar los ingresos de las naciones y de las personas involucradas en este aspecto.
So when we defend free enterprise, we're also defending entrepreneurship, and we are working on initiatives that will provide different situations for new incomes for our communities as well as our countries.
En América Latina estamos actualmente en algunos países viendo amenazada este concepto de libertad de empresa, y por ello nosotros en nuestra organización debemos todos los días estar protegiendo la libertad económica.
In Latin America, we can find that in some countries, the free enterprise is being threatened. So we need to assure that we have initiatives that will provide and defend initiatives of entrepreneurship.
Por eso debemos animar y apoyar a los jóvenes que emprendan nuevos proyectos relacionados con la conformación de empresas, de proyectos productivos, que creen empleos, que creen mejores ingresos.
Which is why we need to motivate young leaders to provide new initiatives and projects that will defend entrepreneurship, that will provide income, and that will provide new sources of work for their communities.
Por eso invito a que todos los senados del mundo acojamos los objetivos de desarrollo sostenible e invitemos a los jóvenes que los hagan propios.
Which is why I would like to invite all senators from the different regions to promote the SDGs so that our young men and women can work on initiatives to provide solutions according to the SDGs.
Carlos, this is a terrific platform for reaching all the senators across the world. So I think that this, what you are asking for all the senators in the world now has a voice of its own across the world. So second question for Friedhelm, what needs a young leader to understand about leadership?
Well, I think Carlos made already a very important point, and that is it's about content. It's about what's the important aspect. And Carlos described what they do in the Americas for that, and I really honor that and like it very much. The question is, how do you do that? And here I want to follow a bit Tshepo's line. What I learned, not only from sponsors, but also mentoring over the time, is that it is not so important that you do one thing on one level right. You know, you have in your career various levels, whether you're a boss from the beginning and you work up the ladder, or inside JCI where you do it every year in a very different role, which is good. But what many people think is that it is okay to do one thing very good at one level and then just transfer it to the next level and just do it there. And I think what is totally important is to learn that each level is a different job. So it is not doing one job on one level good and transfer it to the next level while you climb the ladder, but you need to unlearn what you have done before and need to learn the next role. And that's what we can do in JCI very well, also in the mentoring. Teach the people to do that. And with that, we have great leaders, not just national presidents. We have that on the VP, on the EVP level. And you see the very successful VPs that become then EVPs have exactly done that. They change the role. And that's what the world president then has to need to go do as well. So what I think is important on that level to fulfill what Carlos said and following Tshepo's line is remember always that you have to unlearn your previous role and really step into the next role.
Thank you very much, Friedhelm. And we are reaching the last round. So I will ask all the speakers to be very fast because it has been very interesting, but time is like that, it flies. And I go for Tshepo. You come from South Africa and you know well that Africa has a huge potential of young leaders because it has a very young population that can be lost, that potential, if not acknowledged. How organizations like JCI can help Africa to develop new leaders? I know that this is a big question, but I will ask you to answer very fast.
Okay, so let me first acknowledge the point about content that Carlos spoke about, and Friedhelm also speak about learning and unlearning. And these are things that we have to inculcate in our, to an extent, mentorship and providing leadership training and opportunities for young people. In general, I think that Africa is the youngest continent for now, but we have similar challenges with places like the Middle East, the Caribbean, as well as South America, and maybe some places of Southeast Asia. Organizations like JCI serve as a platform to mature young leaders, to expose them to opportunities such that they can see that they are capable enough. They can learn from others, come and contribute in their own society to advance it to such an extent that it could compete with other developed economic nations. But these parts of the world also have something to give to the rest of the world, because in most cases, we're only looking up and we forget about ourselves, that in the developing world, we do have capabilities and we are contributing to the advancement of society. And therefore, we must invest, spend time, and continue supporting organizations like JCI so that a lot more young people have exposure. And they understand that ultimately, whatever we do is about creating global peace. Just as our founder, Henry Gissenberg, when during the founding of the organization in his statement, spoke about global peace. Our efforts should be about that more than anything else. And this continent needs young leaders who are committed through platforms like JCI to enabling advancement and peace in society. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tshepo. I will ask now Carlos his last question that has to do with something that I really am connected. The digital tools are making the job of leaders harder. What is the advice that you can give to young leaders when using digital tools?
Excuse me. En este aspecto tenemos en Latinoamérica grandes diferencias entre quienes tienen acceso al mundo digital y a quienes no.
In this aspect, in Latin America, we have great inequalities when it comes to who has access to the digital tools and who doesn't.
Esto hace que el primer desafío sea entregarles estas herramientas digitales a quienes por sus condiciones económicas no tienen acceso a ella y generar una cancha que sea más igual para todos.
So the first challenge is to deliver these digital tools to the people that don't have the economical situation to reach to these tools and then have a more equal scenario.
Y ahora para los jóvenes actuales, la recomendación que podríamos hacer es que cada vez acudan a todas estas herramientas de la cuarta revolución industrial y las incorporen para su quehacer diario, laboral y profesional.
And my recommendation for the young leaders would be to take advantage of these tools and use them daily on their daily tasks to learn more about them.
A contribuir a mejorar sus ingresos y niveles de vida y que esto también lo puedan distribuir en sus naciones de origen, dado que hoy hay mucha movilidad laboral en todo el mundo.
To help it contribute not only in their life, but also in the different aspects where they work, where they live, in the organization where they are contributing as well.
Igualmente, estas herramientas digitales se pueden convertir en grandes aliados para nuevamente recuperar el número de miembros activos en las organizaciones locales.
Also, the digital tools can become a great ally to increase the number of membership in the different chapters.
Y así acercarnos a los jóvenes de hoy para hablar en el lenguaje y en las herramientas y en los medios que ellos tienen a su alcance.
In a way that we can get closer to the young people through the same language that they're using with these platforms.
Así como nosotros que fuimos miembros activos en los años 90 particularmente, no teníamos al alcance este tipo de herramientas que a veces nos hacían lejanos desde el cara a cara, pero no en nuestra filosofía y en nuestro amor por la organización.
Something that we didn't have in my case, I was a junior member back on the 90s, so we didn't have this easy way to connect. We were connected through the same creed and through the same purposes, but I consider it is now so much easier to connect with other members.
Finalmente, en esta parte de mi intervención, es decir, que desde nuestros liderazgos, desde nos encontremos.
Finally, to conclude with my intervention, I would like to say that to find each other through our different leaderships,
contribuyamos a que aquellos que no tienen acceso a la tecnología lo puedan hacer para ponerse en el mismo nivel de nosotros y mejorar así la calidad de vida de ellos y el acceso a la tecnología, que es acceso a una mejor calidad de vida y a la prosperidad.
Let's contribute giving access to everybody to these digital tools so that we can find equality. And through equality, we can have a better opportunity for life for the different people that we want to work with. And with this, we can improve the life of our community itself.
Thank you very much, Carlos. And we are in the last question for Friedhelm, and I will ask to give a telegraphic answer to this one. What is the most important challenge for a young leader?
Well, I think the most important question is based what Carlos said, of course, how can I enable people? The second important question, which is not less important, is what Tshepo just said. You know, without peace, everything is impossible. So we need peace. That is an important aspect. But the leader as such, the young leader, might probably need a line to follow. And that line to follow, he needs to create himself. And we have seen often, minimum at the VP level in our organization, that is very hard, that people felt after their task at the VP because they don't have that line. And my suggestion is that young people in leadership roles ask and answer one question, and that is, how do you measure your life? Think about not only once, think about every time. And while you are growing and getting older, it makes very much sense. How do you measure your life? If you have an idea about that, everything else follows.
Thank you very much, Friedhelm, for your very fast answer. I think this is a fantastic way of celebrating Senators' Day. And I want to go a little bit through the countries that were present, that were present in the chat. We had with no order, Ireland, Czech Republic, Benin, Puerto Rico, Finland, Kosovo, Madagascar, Trinidad, Tobago, Portugal. By the way, Riyadh from AMSA sent his best. Also, USA, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Aruba, South Africa, Mexico, the Dominican Republic, Brazil, Catalonia, and Curacao. And so these are the countries that were watching us, were participating in this Senators' Day. And now back to you, Joy.
Thank you so very much, Filipe. We have enjoyed such wonderful and exciting pearls of wisdom from all our speakers, Friedhelm, Tshepo, Carlos. And I think we have a lot that we can continue to build on in our different regions, in our different senates, in our different countries. So without much ado, I would like to pass now to our Regional Director for South America, Senator Giovanna Con, to do a vote of thanks.
Giovanna, you are in mute. You are in mute, Giovanna.
Hola, buenas tardes.
Good afternoon, all.
Estimados presidentes de las asociaciones de los senadores de Asia, África, Medio Oriente, de Europa y de América y el Caribe.
Dear presidents from the different associations of senators of all regions.
Senadores panelistas, queridos senadores en general, juniors, invitados especiales. Hoy es un día muy especial para nosotros, ya que cumplimos un año más desde que la Junior Chamber International JCI otorgó la primera membresía honoraria vitalicia.
We're happy to celebrate today as we remember the first senatorship that was delivered.
Denominada senaduría.
The first senatorship.
En reconocimiento al esfuerzo, trayectoria, dedicación y entrega durante la carrera juniorística de cada uno de los que somos portadores del mismo.
To recognize the work, the dedication to all the work that was done in JCI.
Liderazgo y asesoramiento que ha contribuido con la formación de nuevos juniors y el engrandecimiento de cada organización local, nacional, trascendiendo a nivel internacional.
Leadership and mentorship that help develop the organizations and guide the young members of JCI.
El ser senador JCI es llevar consigo una trayectoria con altos estándares de responsabilidad.
To be a senator of JCI is to carry high standards and responsibility.
Compromiso, generador de ideas que se plasmaron en proyectos, líderes que lograron incluir a la
Commitment
ciudadanía
and
activa
ideas.
y el incentivo a una cultura de respeto y tolerancia.
Necesito que me dé un poquito más de tiempo. Commitment and ideas. ¿Puede repetir, por favor, senadora? Está yendo muy rápido.
Que se plasmaron en proyectos,
That became projects.
líderes que lograron incluir a la ciudadanía activa
Leaders that were able to include active citizenship.
y el incentivo a una cultura de respeto y tolerancia.
And the incentive to a culture of respect and tolerance.
Por eso, en este día, 14 de septiembre,
Which is why today, September 14th,
a nombre de ASAD,
in the name of ASAC,
quiero agradecer a todos ustedes, senadores de JCI, por ser parte de esta
I
gran
would like to
familia,
thank our senators of JCI for being part of this family,
donde debe reinar la integración de sus miembros,
where we need to have the integration of all members,
porque la hermandad de los hombres trasciende la soberanía de las naciones.
because brotherhood of men transcends the sovereignty of nations.
Volvemos a hacer historia con una gran celebración que contamos con la presencia de las asociaciones de senadores de Asia, África, Medio Oriente, de Europa, de América y del Caribe.
We continue making history with the participation on this event of all the Association of Senators of all regions.
Mantengamos como nuestra filosofía de vida nuestro credo junior.
Let's continue having as a life philosophy our JCI creed,
Con los bellos recuerdos vividos en esta organización.
is that we lived in this organization.
Durante los mejores años de nuestra vida
Through the best year of our lives,
y sigamos acumulando vivencias que nos acompañen por siempre.
and let's continue accumulating experiences that would be with us for our entire life.
Disfrutando de los amigos,
Enjoying of our friends,
siendo integradores de cada país que conforman estas asociaciones sin excluir a ninguno.
uniting every country that belongs to this organization without excluding anyone.
Como dice el eslogan de nuestra presidenta de ASAC 21-22.
As the slogan of our president of ASAC says for this term,
Juntos somos más fuertes.
together we are stronger.
Gracias por lo que hacen por nosotros.
Thank you for everything that you do for all of us.
Y como muestra de gratitud, quiero terminar mi intervención pidiendo un fuerte aplauso para cada uno de quienes hacen posibles que estas instituciones sean lo que hoy somos.
And to show gratitude, I would like to ask you for a round of applause for all the leaders that make these organizations possible.
Un hogar donde se construye la esperanza del mañana.
A home
Señoras y
where we
señor-
can build the hope of tomorrow.
Señoras y señores, buenas tardes.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon.
Thank you very much, Giovanna. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for an excellent job, Filipe, Ana Paula for always being present, Tshepo, Friedhelm, Carlos, Giovanna, and all those countries, all who are with us online. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Giovanna. Un abrazo. Juntos somos más fuertes. Together we are stronger. May we continue to build on this wonderful relationship that we have started together.
Thank you. Thank you.